The scariest power is not loud. It's the one that sits in silence, watching, because it already knows how the story ends. They never saw you coming, not because you were hiding, but because they were blind to anything outside their own ego. They thought you were slow. They thought you were gullible. They thought the chosen one was just another naive heart, walking into traps. But now they're sweating. Because you knew, not just parts, everything, from the fake laughs to the backstabs they swore you'd never see coming. You watched it all unfold with the stillness of someone who was never confused, only calculating. They can't process it. They're pacing, deleting texts, scrubbing their energy like it'll erase the evidence. They're shook because you never once flinched. You didn't yell, you didn't fight, you just sat in silence while their fake smiles cracked under your gaze. And now, the silence you kept has become the loudest truth in the room. Pause for a second. If this is already vibrating deep in your spirit, hit like and subscribe, not for clout, for purpose. YouTube picks up that signal and sends this to more chosen ones who need the reminder. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You were right. Every single time. Let's keep going. How dare they? How dare they think the chosen one wouldn't notice? They thought you were just emotional, that your vibes were paranoia, that your intuition was drama. They treated your insight like noise, all while you were picking up signals straight from the universe. They mocked your stillness. They thought your kindness was softness, but you were never weak. You were watching them plot. Watching them lie, watching them build a story around you like you wouldn't smell the fear behind it. And the whole time, you weren't confused. You were collecting proof. How dare they treat the chosen like a fool? You carry a light that made them uncomfortable, not because it was fake, but because it was accurate. It burned through their illusion, their performance, their carefully crafted lies. And instead of respecting that light, they tried to dim it, tried to make you doubt yourself, tried to make you feel crazy for knowing what you knew. They laughed, they gossiped, they threw shadows at someone backed by the universe, as if that wouldn't cost them. But now the bill has arrived. And your accuracy, that's what's haunting them. You weren't lucky. You weren't right this time. You were aligned the whole time. They thought they had time. They thought they had you figured out. But now they realize they were never playing chess. They were sitting at your table playing checkers on a board you built. And while they were laughing, you were mapping everything out with terrifying precision. And now they're shook. They realize your silence wasn't confusion. It was calculation. Your distance wasn't fear. It was divine protection. They finally get it. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the universe's strategy, and they lost the moment they underestimated you. So don't you ever doubt your gift again. Don't you ever apologize for seeing through people. Don't you ever think you were too much. You were chosen. And that power, that light, that knowing, it's not random. It's a weapon, a cosmic weapon designed to shatter lies without you lifting a single finger. They're not just shocked you knew, they're horrified that you knew the whole time and smiled through it. You weren't guessing, you weren't reacting, you were waiting. And now they're blown away by your accuracy because it came wrapped in silence, backed by the universe, and sharpened by truth. Let them tremble. So if your spirit's been nodding this whole time, if your chest feels heavy because every word hit too close, that's not random. That's the universe confirming what you already know. You're not just chosen, you're confirmed. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you've ever watched people panic after realizing you were right the whole time. And stay locked in, because what we're about to break down next will have you seeing everything even clearer. Let's get into it, and trust me, they'll regret you stayed this aware. Number 1, they thought they were playing you, but they were picking a fight with the universe. They laughed at your silence, not knowing it was their sentence being written. They thought they were slick, thought they could walk into your life, throw dirt on your name, play with your peace, and walk away untouched. They didn't just underestimate you, they mocked you. Your calm, they called it weakness. Your patience, they called it confusion. And now they're choking on their own assumptions, because every single thing you sensed is showing up in real time, louder, uglier, and faster than they ever expected. Chosen one, you didn't read them. You remembered them. You didn't analyze. You didn't guess. Something inside you, deep, ancient, and undeniable, recognized them. Their energy, their movements, their tricks. Your soul flagged them before their mouth even opened. You didn't need screenshots or spies. You just knew. And that knowing, that's what has them spiraling. They thought you were psychic. They thought you had someone feeding you info. They can't believe how accurate you were, how you called it all before it even unfolded. But you weren't reading minds. You were plugged into something they don't understand. You were aligned with the system that sees what's hidden, the one that protects its own. That's the part that stings them. You knew the whole time. And worse, you let them cook. You gave them the illusion of safety. Let them laugh. Let them lie, let them look you in the eyes and perform betrayal like it was art. And you just watched. Not because you were scared, but because you were strategic. Because the universe doesn't shout when it moves. It waits, then strikes. But let's pause right here, because I need to speak to you, chosen one. How dare you doubt yourself? How dare you treat your gift like a glitch? How many times does the universe have to prove to you that you are not ordinary? You feel before others see. You know without asking. That's not weird. That's divine. You were built this way for a reason. So stop downplaying it to protect the fragile egos of people who couldn't lie to you successfully. They weren't just mocking you, they were mocking the system. They were playing with alignment. They thought they could twist the truth and not get snapped back by the laws that govern everything. But the moment they came for a chosen one, they lit a fuse on themselves. You don't need revenge. You don't need proof. The universe is the witness. It saw the fake smiles. It recorded the snake-like moves. It watched them pretend. And it's repaying them now, with no help needed from you. And them? They're scared. Not because you exposed them, but because they now realize you always knew. Your silence, that wasn't confusion. It was cosmic calculation. You weren't quiet because you were clueless. You were letting them write their own ending. And now, every action they took in the dark is playing out in daylight, and they're the ones ducking for cover. They're deleting messages, hiding their hands, pretending they were never involved. But you saw them, and worse, they know you did. Now they question everything. If you knew that, what else do you know? What haven't you said? What other truths are sitting behind that unreadable look on your face? And to be honest, that fear, that unknown, that is your power. Chosen one, they were never just dealing with you. They were dealing with precision, with the universe's quietest storm. And now they're stuck in a mess they created, haunted by how right you were. You remembered them because your spirit's been here before. You saw this betrayal in a different life, in a different face, wearing different clothes. And this time, you handled it with grace, with clarity, with silence sharp enough to cut through every mask they wore. So don't apologize for knowing, don't shrink for their comfort, and never again doubt the weapon you carry, that soul-deep sight. Let them tremble. Let them wonder how you knew. Let them sit with the truth that you knew the whole time and still chose to let the universe handle it. Because that's what makes you dangerous, and that's what they'll never recover from. Number 2, they slipped but you already saw the whole costume from day one. They didn't slip up. They walked in wearing a mask you already recognized. Let's get one thing straight. They didn't accidentally give themselves away. This wasn't one small oops that tipped you off. The moment they showed up, you saw through them. You didn't need weeks. You didn't need drama. You didn't need them to mess up. Your spirit clocked them before they finished their introduction. Their energy screamed louder than their words ever could. But here's what they never expected. You didn't react. You didn't jump. You didn't accuse. You didn't blow it all up. And that's what haunts them now. Because while they were busy performing, lying, pretending to be something they're not, you were just watching. Calm, still, collected, letting them dig deeper into a lie they thought you couldn't see. But you saw it all. You weren't confused. You weren't trying to figure them out. You were recording. You were gathering truth like evidence, piece by piece, moment by moment, like a war general listening to the enemy's plan while pretending to be asleep. You gave them room, not because you trusted them, but because you were studying the pattern, and you already knew how the story would end. Chosen one, don't you dare question yourself now. Don't you dare look back and ask, why didn't I say something sooner? Because deep down, you knew. The only reason you didn't explode was because your soul knew you'd be wasting time on someone who was never real to begin with. That calm they mistook for weakness, that was control, that was divine strategy. That was your higher self pulling you back saying, not yet. Let the truth build. Let the mask rot and fall off on its own. And now they're the ones pacing, because you never exposed them. And that means they don't know how much you actually know. And that, chosen one, is your greatest power right now. Their paranoia, their spiraling, their guilt turning into obsession, their fear of what else you might reveal, or worse, what you already know but haven't said. Let's be real, they were never clever, they were never subtle, they were never fooling you. But you let them think they were, and that psychological upper hand is cutting them deeper than any confrontation ever could. You saw through them from day one, from the way they over-explained, from the fake warmth, from the subtle hints of control wrapped in charm, from the way they'd talk just a little too much when they were lying. You saw the inconsistency, the shift in tone, the mask that didn't quite fit, and your spirit said, again, this pattern, this energy. You'd seen it before, and this time you weren't biting the bait. You didn't ignore the red flags, you documented them. And now, the entire file is sealed with universal truth. But let me ask you something, and I mean this as a gut check. Why did you ever doubt that sight? Why did you silence yourself just to make space for their lies? Why did you dim your knowing so they wouldn't feel exposed? Why did you play small for people who would have celebrated your downfall? You owe yourself an apology for pretending you didn't see what you saw. And you owe the universe a thank you for not letting you self-destruct in the name of being nice. Because that's what this comes down to, doesn't it? You weren't blind. You were choosing peace over proof. You knew the moment would come, and now it has. And they're shaken, not because you exploded, but because you never needed to. You let time do what yelling never could. Chosen one, you didn't walk through this with your eyes closed. You walked through it like a warrior in disguise. You had the code, you had the sight, you had the patience, and when the moment came to walk away or cut them off, you didn't even flinch, because by then, your spirit had already made peace with the truth. And that's what's eating them alive right now. They think you're dangerous because you're loud. But it's your quiet awareness that keeps them up at night. The fact that you watched them lie, and let them think they got away with it until the evidence started falling out of their own mouth. And no, they weren't shocked because they slipped. They were shocked because their whole act didn't work on you. That's the real reason they're keeping their distance. That's why they're suddenly silent, suddenly different, suddenly cautious. Not because you confronted them, but because you didn't. You didn't go off. You didn't chase them down. You didn't try to force an apology. You simply detached, quietly. And the moment you detached, the universe moved. Now they're dealing with consequences that don't have your fingerprints on them, but carry your signature of knowing. So if you're still sitting around wondering, was it my fault? Let me answer that for you. No, it wasn't. It was your gift that kept you one step ahead. The same gift they mocked. The same gift they underestimated. The same gift they now fear. You didn't fall for it. You just watched the story play out, and they can't forgive you for seeing them clearer than they see themselves. So don't apologize for what your spirit saw. Don't explain your silence. Don't doubt your intuition just because it made people uncomfortable. Chosen one, your awareness is a force of nature, calm, unshaken, precise. You weren't looking with human eyes. You were locked in with divine sight. And now they're left with one question stuck in their throat like poison. If they saw that, what else did they see? Let them wonder, let them tremble. You saw it all from day one. Number 3, you let them lie, and now they're drowning in their own fiction. They thought they were spinning stories around you, but the web they wove was already under the microscope. Let's not pretend here. You didn't need answers. You already had them. Every word they fumbled, every excuse they rehearsed, every sweet-sounding lie they told with a grin on their face. You watched it unfold like a movie you already saw in another lifetime. And instead of stopping them, you did something far more terrifying. You let them lie. You weren't desperate, you weren't confused, you weren't up late trying to make sense of contradictions. The truth had already settled in your bones. The knowing was already sitting in your gut like a locked vault. But you stayed still, on purpose, because you weren't looking for answers. You were waiting for confirmation. Chosen one, let's talk about that stillness, the one they mistook for weakness. That silence was not surrender. It was strategy. It was spiritual intelligence, not emotional collapse. You weren't sitting there broken. You were giving them rope. Rope they gladly grabbed while smiling in your face. They thought your silence meant they were safe. They thought the lack of confrontation meant they got away with it. But you were sitting back, documenting, taking spiritual notes, watching how far they'd go. And that's the part that's eating them alive now. They know you let them build their own destruction with their own hands. You didn't interrupt their lies. You didn't warn them. You didn't say, "Hey, I know what you're doing." Why? Because you weren't trying to stop them. You were letting the evidence stack so high it would bury them, not out of revenge, but out of clarity. And now the dust is settling. Now the silence is loud. Now your calm makes them panic. They've realized you weren't confused. You were collecting receipts. They remember your eyes now, not angry, not sad, just awake. And that's what terrifies them. Because there's nothing more dangerous than someone who knows everything and says nothing. But let's flip the lens for a second. Let's talk about you, chosen one. How many times did you question yourself during that process? How many nights did you ask, "Am I just imagining this?" How many times did you silence your intuition just to give them space to be honest, knowing damn well they wouldn't be? Let me tell you something you need to hear. Stop apologizing for your accuracy. Stop feeling guilty for knowing the truth before people admit it. You don't need to catch someone in the act when the energy already confessed everything. You saw it, you felt it, your spirit screamed it. And still, you waited, not because you were weak, but because you were giving the lie time to expose itself fully. That's why they're breaking down now. Because they looked you in the eyes, lied bold-faced, and you just nodded, smiled. Let them talk, let them sink. They thought they were in control of the narrative, not realizing you had already written the ending. And now every fake moment plays back in their head like a horror reel. Because your silence wasn't just silence, it was a trap door, and they walked into it willingly. They weren't lying to a person, they were performing in front of the universe, and now the universe is delivering the review. They don't just regret the lie, they regret thinking you were stupid enough to believe it. Because here's what they now understand. Your calm wasn't comfort, it was calculation. You didn't react because you didn't need to. You already knew. And when the confirmation came, when the final piece clicked into place, when they thought they got away clean, you didn't flinch. You didn't explode. You just closed the file. And that right there, that's what's destroying them inside. Because when someone screams, at least you know where they stand. But when someone says nothing and still walks away like they've seen it all, you never stop wondering what else they saw. That's where they are now, sitting in the wreckage of their performance, asking themselves, did they know everything? What did I say that gave it away? How long were they watching? And the answer is simple: the whole time. You let them lie, and now they're haunted by the fact that you didn't stop them, that you didn't warn them, that you didn't react, that you let them hand you the knife, hand you the blueprint, hand you the truth, while thinking they were getting away with it. You never needed the confession. Their behavior was the confession. Their vibe was the warning. Their performance was the proof. And chosen one, this is where I need you to stand tall in who you are. Stop carrying shame for knowing. Stop trying to play fair with people who lied to your face with no hesitation. Your spiritual sight is not a problem, it's protection. And if people feel exposed in your presence, it's not because you're judging, it's because your energy shines light on the darkness they were hoping to hide. Let them deal with the aftermath. Let them sit in the awkward silence of knowing they were caught in real time by someone who didn't even raise their voice. Let them live with the fact that you knew the whole time. And let them lie anyway, because that's a power most people will never understand. And it's exactly what makes you chosen. Number 4. You didn't just know, you pulled truth from the unseen and made it bleed. They were whispering in the dark, thinking no one could hear, and then you spoke their secrets out loud, like the shadows themselves told you. This isn't paranoia, this isn't guessing. This isn't some lucky streak or wild coincidence. This is what it looks like when the unseen chooses to speak through a chosen one. You didn't need receipts, you didn't need to eavesdrop, you didn't hack their messages or follow breadcrumbs. Because the truth wasn't hiding, it was transmitting, and you were tuned in. They don't understand it. How did you say that? How did you drop a line that exposed a lie they thought no one else knew? How did you mirror the exact thing they feared being found out about without ever seeing a thing? Because you weren't using logic. You were operating in revelation. You were decoding energy in real time. They were lying with their mouth, but their frequency, their vibration, their body language, their tone, it was all giving them away, and your soul was listening to what their spirit was leaking. You weren't snooping, you were sensing. That knowing didn't come from you, it came through you, and that's what's breaking them now. Because they can't explain you. They can explain away suspicion. They can gaslight doubt. But what do they do when you speak something they've never said out loud and you're dead on accurate? It terrifies them, because now they're realizing they were never in control, not of the story, not of the lie, not of the version of reality they tried to build, because while they were constructing fantasy, you were receiving truth from a place they'll never reach. But chosen one, let me ask you this. How many times have you felt like you were too much because of that gift? How many times did you feel guilty for knowing things no one told you? How often did you silence yourself, convincing yourself you must be wrong because you had no proof? Stop it. You're not broken. You're not delusional. You're not crazy. You are connected. And that connection, that's not some mystical nonsense. That's real power. Power that reaches beyond logic, beyond time, beyond language. Power that pulls raw, unfiltered, unedited truth from dimensions most people never even acknowledge. And when you speak it, it lands like a bomb, because you're not speaking from your mind. You're channeling from the unseen, the realm where lies can't survive. And they feel it. That's why their stomach turns when you open your mouth. That's why their face changes when you speak, because you're not calling them out. You're dragging their truth into the light. You didn't work with facts, you worked with frequency. You didn't move through logic, you moved through alignment. And every time they told themselves you couldn't possibly know, the universe whispered to you, say it, drop it, watch what happens. And when you did, silence. They froze, because it was too precise, too personal, too accurate to deny. They knew you didn't overhear anything. They just couldn't hide from what was watching through you. Now they question everything. How much do you really know? What else have you seen? What have you kept to yourself? Because you didn't spill it all, did you? You dropped just enough to let them know, I see you, and that alone has them spiraling. Chosen one, you're not just intuitive, you're a live wire for divine justice. Your presence isn't just powerful, it's convicting. That's why people flinch around you when they're hiding something, why they distance themselves without explanation, why they suddenly switch up after lying to your face. You don't even need to confront them, your energy does it for you. So stop doubting the gift. Stop trying to explain the unexplainable to people who aren't meant to understand it. Stop watering down the fact that your knowing comes from something above this realm, and that people who lie in your presence are basically asking for exposure, because you weren't designed to chase lies. You were born to break them open with silence. Let them wonder how you knew. Let them try to trace back the leak. They'll never find it. Because it wasn't in a text, it wasn't in a call, it was in the energy, the language of the unseen. And that's the language you were born fluent in. They thought you were guessing, but it wasn't a guess, it was a download. They thought you were confused, but you were aligned, plugged in, unlocked. And when the moment came to speak, you did. And the truth hit them like a blade made of silence. So don't second-guess it when you feel something that can't be explained. That's the real you, the chosen one version, the one built to walk into rooms and rearrange the atmosphere just by existing, the one that doesn't need to see proof to know what's hiding in plain sight, the one that leaves people trembling, not because of what you said, but because of what you could have said but didn't. Let them wrestle with the truth. Let them panic about what else you know. You don't need to prove it. They already felt the truth hit. And the truth is, you never needed to hear it to know it. Because you were always tuned in to what was never meant to be spoken. You pulled it from the unseen and made it undeniable. And now they're left to face a reality they thought they buried. But you already saw the whole thing before they even finished the first lie. Number 5, you exposed them without lifting a finger, and that's what broke them. They expected fire, but it was your silence that burned the loudest. Let's make something clear. You never screamed, you never argued, you never had to drag them into the light, because they were already choking on the truth before you ever said a word. You didn't throw their dirt back in their face. You didn't go on a revenge tour. You didn't beg people to believe your side. And that's the part that terrifies them now. The fact that you knew everything and still chose to walk away untouched. You didn't just expose them, you made the truth rise to the surface on its own, like oil leaking through a cracked foundation. You didn't blow the whistle, you were the alarm, silent, steady, undeniable. They thought they could outrun exposure, thought if they twisted the story fast enough, the lie would become the truth. But what they didn't count on was that the universe doesn't need you to fight when you're aligned. It fights through you, and in this case, it exposed them for you. While they were plotting in the dark, thinking they were getting away with it, you were sitting in clarity, observing, trusting, letting time do what rage never could. And now they're the ones squirming. Not because you did something, but because you didn't. They can't process that. They can't wrap their ego around the idea that someone could know every secret, every betrayal, every false word, and not retaliate, not explode, not sink to their level. But you didn't need to. You walked away with everything you needed: the truth, the clarity, the strength. And that, chosen one, is why you're so dangerous. Because you didn't need revenge. You didn't need a crowd. You didn't need validation. You were enough, all by yourself, standing in full awareness, holding receipts you never even used. You didn't ruin them. You let the truth do that. Quietly, effortlessly, permanently. And that's what scares them now. Not your voice, your restraint. Not your anger, your mastery. Because here's the truth they'll never admit out loud. They're not afraid of what you know. They're afraid of what you chose not to do with what you know. They know you had every reason to destroy them. They know you had every piece of evidence lined up. But instead of setting the whole thing on fire, you lit a single candle and walked away. You let the universe handle the rest. And it did. Brutally. But now, chosen one, let's talk about you for a second. Let's talk about what it took to stay that calm, to hold your truth like a sword and not swing it, to let betrayal sit in your chest like a boulder and still not drop it on their head. You showed mercy, real mercy, and that wasn't weakness, that was power in its purest form. You had every right to expose them. You could have ruined their name, shattered their image, turned people against them with just one sentence. But instead, you kept it all to yourself and let them self-destruct on their own. That's why they're scared now, because they don't know what else you know. They don't know what you're holding. They don't know what truth is still waiting in your vault. And because you never used it, you've now become the most unpredictable person in their life. Because if you didn't destroy them then, what would it take to make you move now? That silence, that calm, that unreadable energy? It's more terrifying than any threat, because now they know you don't react. You decide. And once you make that decision, you vanish. And when you vanish, truth follows you like a shadow that they can't outrun. They're still waiting for the explosion, still waiting for the scandal, still checking over their shoulder, because they feel it, the consequences echoing in their life. And they're wondering, was that them? Was that the chosen one pulling strings behind the scenes? But you weren't. You didn't touch a thing, you just walked away in full alignment, and the universe did what it always does when you're chosen. It exposed everything. And chosen one, let this be a moment where you stop underestimating the weight of who you are. You're not just someone with spiritual insight. You're someone who can unravel an entire lie just by not reacting to it. You are the mirror they fear. The silence they can't read, the awareness they can't lie to, and the justice they can't escape. Stop questioning your role. Stop wondering if you did the right thing by walking away. You didn't walk away because you were weak. You walked away because you knew you didn't need to do anything. You let the truth speak. And now it's screaming louder than revenge ever could. So don't carry the guilt for not burning them. They're already burning themselves in the fire they set for you. Let them sit in it. Let them explain your silence to themselves in circles. Because at the end of the day, you expose them without lifting a single finger, and that's what they'll never recover from. Number 6. You didn't react, you conducted a spiritual autopsy, and they died by their own lies. They thought you were emotional, but you were performing surgery, quiet, exact, unforgiving. They thought you were sitting in the dark, clueless, that you didn't notice the shade, the fake smiles, the backhanded compliments. They believed your silence meant blindness. But while they were out here playing games, you weren't reacting. You were analyzing every pause, every fake laugh, every word that didn't match the energy behind it. You weren't confused. You were conducting a full spiritual autopsy on their words, their energy, their intent. They assumed you were ignoring the red flags. They had no idea you were documenting them. You weren't lashing out because you didn't need to. You were watching how deep the rot ran. And when you finally spoke, you didn't scream. You didn't throw accusations. You didn't bring chaos to the room. You brought truth, calm, sharp, cold, and surgical. You didn't destroy them with lies. You destroyed them with clarity. You named the wound. You described the infection. And you did it all without raising your voice. That's what shook them. That's what they'll never recover from. Not the exposure, but the way you exposed them with zero effort. Because to them, you were just quiet. But to your spirit, you were a surgeon with perfect precision. And chosen one, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how easy it was for you to see what they thought was hidden. How obvious the deception became the more they tried to mask it. How your soul was alert long before the mask ever slipped. Because you weren't being emotional, you were being exact. You saw the cracks in the story before the story was even finished. You saw the lie pulsing under their skin, and you waited for the moment it would reveal itself. But why did you doubt that? Why did you second-guess your clarity when your spirit never missed a beat? That's the real question. Because chosen one, you were born with sight others don't have. While they rely on words, you read vibration. While they rely on appearances, you read truth frequency. You were decoding their energy like a living blueprint. So why did you feel the need to question that just to seem fair? You don't owe people silence when their presence triggers alarms in your soul. You don't owe them the benefit of the doubt when your intuition is screaming the diagnosis. You were never overthinking. You were observing. That quiet, calm stillness they mistook for weakness. That was you sharpening the blade. And when you finally delivered what they thought you'd never say, it was done with so much composure, it shattered them. Because you didn't explode, you confirmed, you didn't accuse, you detailed, you didn't rant, you revealed. And that level of restraint, that level of mastery, that's what made them fall apart. Now they're left questioning everything, not just what you saw, but what else you know, what else you picked apart in silence, what you've kept to yourself. Because the worst part for them isn't the truth you revealed. It's the truth you still haven't. And now your silence echoes louder than anything you could have said. That's the real power, chosen one. You don't have to fight dirty. You don't have to match their lies with noise. Your gift isn't just in seeing through people, it's in cutting through them without ever raising your hand. You didn't need revenge. You just needed the moment. And when it came, you delivered your truth like a surgeon, clean, sharp, and irreversible. So don't ever apologize for how precise you are. Don't ever hold back your truth just because it might slice too deep. You're not reckless, you're refined. You don't deal in drama, you deal in reality. And when reality shows up in your voice, it doesn't need help. It cuts on its own. Let them sit with that. Let them replay the moment you laid their story open without flinching. Let them wonder how you knew, because the truth is, you always did. You didn't just react. You performed a spiritual autopsy, and they died by the lies they thought you'd never catch. Number 7. You were the variable. They couldn't predict, and that's what broke the system. They wrote the script, cast the roles, and set the stage, but forgot that the chosen one never follows direction. They thought they had it down to a science. Push this button, get this reaction, stir the pot, sit back and watch it boil, lie, manipulate, play the victim, then flip the story. That formula worked like magic on everyone else. Until you showed up. And suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. You didn't play along. You didn't rise to the bait. You didn't give them the reaction their script required. You broke the rhythm. You glitched their system. You shattered their pattern without even trying. You weren't supposed to act like that. You were supposed to break down, fight back, chase closure, defend yourself, give them something to work with, something to twist. But instead, you stood there in silence. Not cold, not bitter, just unbothered, grounded, clear, mysterious in a way they couldn't decode. And that's what sent them into a spiral, because the one thing manipulators fear most is unpredictability. You were the wild card, the unknown variable, the one who didn't just escape the game, you ended it. They used to feel powerful when they controlled others. Watching people cry, beg, explode, unravel, it made them feel important, like a puppet master, like a god in a world they thought they ruled. But when you stepped in, they pulled every string and nothing moved. You didn't react. You observed. You didn't defend yourself. You detached. You didn't try to prove your worth. You knew it already. And that kind of power, it's terrifying to people who rely on chaos. They couldn't read you, couldn't get inside your head, couldn't figure out why their usual tactics fell flat in front of you. They expected fire, they expected drama, but you gave them stillness so sharp it cut their ego in half. And that's when they realized you weren't part of the program. You were the glitch in it, the bug in the code, the end of the script. But let's get real, chosen one, you didn't get that stillness by accident. That kind of presence comes from pain, from experience, from knowing too much and speaking too little, from being betrayed, underestimated, studied, and played. Until one day, your spirit woke up and said, "No more." You didn't become the variable overnight. You were forged into it, and yet, even with all that power, how many times did you question yourself? How many times did you ask, why am I not reacting like everyone else? How many times did you feel guilty for being unmoved, for being too calm, for not needing closure like everyone said you should? Let me tell you something that needs to stick in your bones. Your silence is not weakness. Your non-reaction is not numbness. It's discipline. It's evolution. It's spiritual mastery. You were never meant to be predictable. You were never meant to follow the script. You were born to break patterns, not repeat them. That's why your presence feels disruptive. That's why people either fear you, envy you, or try to decode you. Because deep down, they know the usual tricks don't work on someone who's not playing the game. And the moment they realize that, they lost control. because everything they had built depended on you responding like everyone else. But you didn't. You paused. You detached. You chose peace. And that one decision made you more powerful than anything they'd ever seen. Now they talk in circles. Now they over-explain. Now they try to twist your silence into weakness, but it's too late. The game ended the moment you stopped playing, and now they're left sitting in the ruins of their old tactics, wondering what the hell just happened. But you know what happened. You happened. The one variable they never planned for, the one soul they couldn't decode, the one spirit that wasn't moved by manipulation, chaos, or control. You weren't the target, you were the test, and they failed it, miserably. So don't you dare doubt yourself. Don't question why you're different. You're not cold, you're not detached, you're deliberate. And when the chosen one becomes deliberate, the whole system falls apart. Let it. Number 8. You didn't just see the lie, you saw the whole machine running behind it. They thought they were hiding behind a mask. You saw the hands that built it. You didn't just catch a slip-up. You didn't just notice a shady move. You uncovered the entire system they were operating from. The ego, the generational trauma, the control tactics, the fake persona powered by fear and manipulation. While they thought they were fooling you, you were reading every blueprint they didn't even know they were following. That's what shook them. Not that you caught the lie, but that you decoded the system behind it. You didn't just see them. You saw the spirit moving through them. You saw the script they were taught to run on. You saw the pain they never dealt with. The power games passed down like tradition. They thought you'd need screenshots. They thought you'd need evidence. But your spirit has access no camera ever will. What they didn't understand is that your knowing isn't investigation, it's revelation. You walk into a room and feel the truth before anyone speaks. You pick up the signal that their words try to bury, and by the time they lie, it's already too late. Your soul already logged the truth. Now they're scrambling, not just because you saw through them, but because they know you saw things they didn't even want to see in themselves. They can't lie their way out of this, because you weren't just watching their behavior, you were tracing the energy behind it, all the way back to the root. And the scariest part for them, you never even needed to look. You didn't dig, you didn't snoop, you knew. And that kind of knowing, that depth of discernment, it's terrifying to anyone trying to control a false reality. They built their whole life on illusion, and you walked in and saw the scaffolding, exposed the foundation. Not with a shout, but with presence. Not with rage, but with certainty, and it collapsed under the weight of your silence. So understand this, chosen one, you didn't just break the moment. You broke the system. You saw through the program, and that's why they're truly afraid. Let them panic. Let them overcompensate. Let them sit with the fact that you didn't need to catch them because they were already exposed in your presence. Your knowing shook their whole structure, and once you see the system, you can't unsee it, and they can't undo it. And now, if you've made it this far, you already know this wasn't just content. This was confirmation, a mirror, a call to rise and never shrink again. Because if you're chosen, you're not here by accident. You were sent to see what others miss, and to walk away, not wounded, but awakened. So if this hit your spirit, like the video, subscribe to stay tapped into the frequency, drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your power, and share this with another chosen one who needs the reminder. You weren't crazy, you were just always right.